type 2 diabetes can actually be reversed. Why are our numbers going up? The healthcare system is doing something wrong. We need to be doing more for our patients.
Welcome to the I Decide Darlings podcast. I'm Erin.
And I'm Lisa. We are moms, wives, best friends, entrepreneurs, and authors of the book, I Decide, the happy little guide to living your best life. Pull up a chair, grab a glass of wine, and get ready to talk all things health, success, loss, money, family, and everything in between. These two besties won't leave anything off the table.
So get ready to laugh, cry, hear the tips, tools, and stories to give you the success you crave, the life you adore, and the future you deserve. You are listening to the I Decide podcast.
Welcome back to the I Decide Darlings podcast. Buckle up, ladies. We have something fun in store for you guys today. As always, I am Erin Lopez.
And I'm Lisa Cox. Welcome.
Okay, this is going to be a good one. We're very excited. We're excited about all of them, but
yes,
we did some fun research for this one.
Well, I'm just obsessed with everything Dr. Nicole does. So I'm so lucky to get to do her intro. So I'm gonna read this intro because I want it to be all inclusive of everything that she's done. And it's a lot. And I'm sure we're going to hear more today about what's coming. Meet Dr. Nicole Srednicki, personalized anti-aging and integrative medicine. Dr. Srednicki is a board-certified family nurse practitioner who graduated from the prestigious Georgetown University. She's a primary care provider and is also board-certified by the American Academy of Anti-Aging and Regenerative Medicine. She has also completed a fellowship from the Metabolic Medical Institute and had training in anti-aging and natural medicine. Dr. Nicki's doctoral studies focused on the effects of meditation, on stress and mindfulness, utilizing a new type of intervention. She has most recently completed coursework at the American Academy of Stem Cell Physicians. She was jokingly named the natural knee replacement doctor.
Ooh.
I know. We're going to hear about that too. Dr. Srednicki enjoys using her education and training in aesthetic medicine to make her clients feel as beautiful externally as they do internally. When Dr. Srednicki is not traveling across the state and country lines to see some of her patients, her passion is facilitating wellness retreats in which clients stay on site at her beautiful oasis in Scottsdale, Arizona, which focuses on internal and external health and beauty transformation. Dr. Srednicki successfully combines conventional and complementary medicine seamlessly in her practice. She utilizes cutting-edge, science-driven regenerative medical therapies and techniques. So that is quite a mouthful of goodness that we're excited to talk about today. Dr. Nicki, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, Nicole, do you hear that? And you're like, is that me? I mean, listen to everything that I've done. I mean, kudos, all amazingness. I mean, there were so many like keywords in there that like had me at hello. So
that I couldn't pronounce.
Dr. Nicole Srednicki, welcome to the I Decide Darlings podcast. We're so excited. We just heard your amazing list of all of your accomplishments, but we want to know from like girlfriend to girlfriend, tell us who Nicole is. How did you get to this place? Where are you in Arizona? Were you born in Arizona? Tell us a little bit of your backstory.
Sure. So thank you again for that intro. And I'm so excited to be on your podcast. And I love what you're promoting and your book. So thank you. I feel honored. As you said, I'm the founder of Ultra Healthy Human. We specialize in high performance health for high performance people. So our goal is to maximize your potential. So, we aren't your annual physical, which is looking for disease that's already there. That's doing nothing proactive to keep you young, to keep you vibrant. We look at it from a whole other perspective, and I know we'll get into those details. A little bit about my personal story. I grew up in upstate New York, and I came out to Arizona about like 22 years ago with my parents. And I loved that we made that move because it really just expanded my world. And I started down the healthcare path, and I've always been into like nutrition and things like that. And so I think that's what took me down the medical path. And then, when I was in school, I was also working in healthcare, and I started to recognize all of the gaps in the medical system. Lacking in continuity of care. Our spending is out of control. Our health statistics are not improving. In 2022, just to give you a couple stats in case you're not up to date on it, the healthcare spending reached more than 4.5 trillion, which translates to about $14,000 per person per year. The annual costs associated with diabetes are staggering at $400 and almost $13 billion annually. And the sad part is like diabetes, for example, type 2 diabetes can actually be reversed. Why are our numbers going up? Currently, they're about 38% of the population, the US population, is a pre-diabetic, and more than 37 million individuals in the US are living with diabetes. Some other statistics, overweight and obesity, 73.6% of the US population. I mean, this makes me so sad. These are things that we could be influencing, could be changing. 48% of people have cardiovascular disease, and a recent statistic, the lifetime risk of developing cancer in men is 1 in 2, and for women, 1 in 3. So honestly, the healthcare system is doing something wrong. I think when you have a disease, I'm grateful for our medical system in that regard. When I did all of like my clinical schooling, I think it was great, being able to diagnose disease. And, when you get to a certain level of dishealth, should I say, there are things that can be done that's maybe superior to other countries. But when it comes to keeping you healthy, I was like, we need to be doing more for our patients. So, I kind of had an epiphany when I was in school. I was like, we're pushing pharmaceuticals, we're rushing our patients through visits, and we're just adhering to insurance companies, which don't always have the best interests of our patients in mind.
Right.
So,
when you say you're on the medical path, like, take me back, only because I have a daughter too, who's like on the nursing path. So your list of accomplishments is astonishing. You said you always wanted to go down that route. Like, did you start in, like, what did it look like for you in terms of like what you wanted to do or what you thought you wanted to do? I mean, I love hearing these kind of I decide epiphany moments. You said you've always been healthy. Was this just something you knew, like, I have purpose?
You know what? I think it stemmed back to being a dancer when I was younger. And you become obsessed with your body. And it was never easy for me. I was like one that my parents were in the food industry, and like we own restaurants. And so it's like we enjoy dining as a family and eating out and all that good stuff, which if you're not conscious of it, will take over your body. And so it was just kind of like always in the back of my mind. My mom was always pretty healthy, and so I would learn things from her. I actually started down the nursing path. So kudos to your daughter, and thank you for giving back.
She's in high school. We'll see. But I love hearing stories, of how people have gotten on their path.
Yeah. So that's when I wanted to expand my career. I mean, I was a nurse starting off, and I was like, that's when I was like noticing, when I was working in the hospital system, noticing some of these gaps in care and what was kind of going on around me. And And that's what really like motivated me. Like I decide like I need to do something different. And that's when I was like, you know what? Like I don't fit into this cookie cutter thing. And so that's when I started pursuing other avenues. I went back to school and started going down these paths to be able to be at a higher level where I could, diagnose and treat people and start my own practice, because they say like, I want to practice healthcare the way it should be practiced. But even when I was, I loved Georgetown. I got a great clinical education, but I was like, we're still missing something. So when I graduated, that's when I became board certified and did a fellowship in anti-aging and regenerative medicine. And then I actually sought out a doctor and it was one of the pioneers in the natural medicine world. And I was like, I want to learn from the best. I want to learn from you. And so I did another fellowship and became board certified in natural medicine. And then I was like, well, I'm going to start my own practice now. And I want to combine all of these things within my practice so that, we can get, my goals were I want patients to feel empowered about making decisions in their health. There's so many uncertainties. There's so much conflicting information out there. I wanted them to feel good about their health decisions, but also have alternatives to just writing a prescription. I always say that's like the last thing that I want to do is write a prescription.
I'll tell you what, this is a dream. This is a dream for me because I was raised by my whole family were either doctors or surgeons. And my mom was a hippie, all about, natural healthcare, natural products, everything, even natural foods, kind of back before it was popular, back before it was in vogue. And so that was my mom. And then on this side, I had my father, who also went to Georgetown, and his father, who was the head of surgeons at Memorial Hospital in Long Beach, California. So this whole side was strict doctors. And I mean, the difference, it's like growing up a little schizophrenic in our house, I mean, it was nuts, but I know there, like you do, there's a place for medicine. I know there's a place for it. And there are people that need some medicine, but I also know there's so many other ways. And I was always that girl trying to seek that at a young age, because I saw my mom living that way and living a very, very healthy, in a very healthy body and a very healthy life. So I love what you do. This is incredible. So combining Eastern and Western practices, when someone comes to you, do you basically take an overview and figure out like, okay, Lisa needs this, and I'm going to grab this from over here and this from over here? Or how does that work when someone comes to you?
Yeah. So, so people ask me, they're like, yeah, so what's high performance health, right? And so I see it as more of a holistic approach where you're implementing both Eastern and Western modalities so that we can optimize. We look at it from the physical perspective, right? Like looking at blood results, things like that. Mental, how much stress do you have in your life? And emotional. So these are all what put together like the whole person. And this is what's going to allow us to achieve that peak performance. So it just goes beyond the traditional. When we have a pretty long first visit because I want to get to know the patient. We talk about their lifestyle. We talk about goals. Obviously, I want them to be able to achieve their goals. So we figure out what's going to be realistic for them. I don't just tell them this is what you need to do, because we all know that, right?
No, I don't think people do.
Well, I think they hear it, but they don't hear it.
Yeah.
So then we look at, I do very advanced blood work. So we look at over like 120 blood markers. And I call this your internal body mapping, because we have to understand what's going on internally, right? So we need to get detailed into how much inflammation do you have in your body? Because inflammation is the foundation of like every disease. What are your hormones doing? We have, this entire cascade of hormones in our body, and you can't just look at one or two to figure out what's going on in that person's body. We look at vitamin levels. We look at heavy metals. Of course, we look at, the traditional liver, kidney function, diabetes markers, cholesterols, but we take it a step further and get more in depth. What type of molecules are they? What's affecting them? So then, and then we do a physical exam. And then we meet again a couple weeks later and go through all of this blood work so that the client understands what's going on in their body. And then I've put together a plan of care for them, recommendations, and we go through it. And then we figure out step by step, you know, what do we want to do here? How are we going to accomplish it? And it's different things like detoxing. We might use bioidentical hormones. We might do some botanical supplements. We might use some lasers. We might do IV vitamins, you know, all different things to go about whatever's going on with them. And then, you know, after we, you know, as long as it's not something impending, we'll try these things before we would write a prescription.
Mm-hmm. I wish more people would do this. And I love too, let's make note too, that you do this over, you know, like they don't have to be sitting in front of you, correct?
Right. Yep. We do televisits. So I have people I actually have people all over the world at this point, which is like crazy.
Awesome.
Sometimes I'm on seeing patients at 9 p.m., but
yeah,
it's a good problem. It's a good problem.
Yeah.
But I love this too, because I think like what Lisa said too, is that we don't know. And I think most of us, myself included, sometimes we're not taking that extra step to go down that route. Like a lot of people in my age category will say like, well, I'm in perimenopause, I'm in menopause, but like, what does that really mean? Like, am I really, am I not really? You know, and I think we just go to the assumption route versus I just wish that we all would take it the step further like you are, which is the whole picture of things, because we're all created so differently that I feel like we just slap a label on it and slap a something on it instead of, you know, finding somebody who wants to take the extra step and spend a little bit extra time. And I am seeing a little bit more doctors, like my husband, for example, stopped going to, you know, like you were saying, like the yearly checkup, that now he has kind of they call it like a VIP, but it's more so like they want to get to know you. You know, they want to know who you are. And I think what you're doing is helping people understand that, like, it may not be menopause, right? Like,
exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
sorry. Go ahead.
No, I mean, it could be, but what about the other stuff that come along with it, or
accelerating it? That's like one of the key things that like we could slow down some of these processes if we can catch them early. And, you know, another thing that people, especially like younger people, you know, I'll ask them, you know, I'll say, how healthy do you think you are? And then they're like, oh, I'm healthy. And so then I ask, how do you measure that? Mm-hmm. You know, is it because you don't have symptoms? Is it because you go to your annual physical, or just because you're young? Mm-hmm. And so then they're kind of like perplexed, and, you know, this just means you're not sick. It doesn't mean that you're healthy. Mm-hmm. So, you know, taking that first, identifying. So one of the other things that I like to do with patients is let's figure out your internal age, because that's really, so you could actually be, you know, you could be 25 years old, but internally you might have accelerated aging and you might actually be 50, which is going to make you older a lot faster. And conversely, if like some of my awesome patients that are taking care of, you know, all the different levels of health, they're, you know, 60, but their internal age is like in their 40s.
Okay, tell us a little bit. Like, I mean, you don't have to give it to us because we want, but like, what is a question like that? Like, how do you discover your internal age?
So there's actually tests that we can do that will actually measure it. It'll look at your genetics. It'll look at some of your blood work. It'll look at lifestyle, and it will actually come up with like an internal age and an immune age. And then that's when then we can also get more in depth, and then I'll break it down, do more advanced blood work, looking into some of those areas. And then how do we slow or reverse that aging?
Hey there, darlings. We wanted to take a quick moment to talk to you about something super exciting.
That is right, Lisa. And if you're inspired by any of our conversations, but you still feel like you're stuck in place, trapped in guilt and in self-doubt, and in the feeling that you are not enough, but you are still yearning for more time, more self-confidence, and more fulfillment in your life, this is just exactly for you.
We would like to introduce to you our transformative course, Get Unstuck in 10 Days, in which you'll gain practical steps and knowledge to break through those barriers holding you back and start living the life you truly deserve.
Absolutely, Lisa. Whether you're looking to switch it up, switch your mindset, kick those bad habits to the curb, or set meaningful goals aligned with your values, this course will open new doors just for you.
Plus, by enrolling in Get Unstuck in 10 days, you'll not only get access to valuable lessons and resources, but also join a supportive community of like-minded individuals on a journey to personal growth and empowerment.
So what are you waiting for? Head over to our website at idecide.io and enroll in Get Unstuck in 10 days today. Let's make those positive changes together.
And don't forget, darlings, stay tuned for more insightful conversations right here on the I Decide Darlings podcast. Thanks for listening. I want that done. My husband, we were just talking before you hopped on that my husband is turning 60 in a couple months, and I'm right behind him. And, you face this new age, and you feel good, but I would love to know in more detail. And so a fun question for you, and this is a little bit less detailed because obviously every single person's going to have different results. And so you have to look at everybody individually. But in general, Dr. Nikki, tell us three-ish things that you would recommend or that you see that we as the human race right now are doing so wrong. Like just what are we doing wrong right now? Like I can think of a couple things, but I want to hear from you 3 things that we're just screwing up. I mean, all of us,
Yeah. So great question. So for sure diets and, there's the obvious diet choices when we're, eating all the sugar and the carbs and the processed things, but then these are the people that I feel so bad for. They're trying to do it right, but labeling and marketing is misleading them. So they're actually, they think they're eating a product that's going to help them lose weight. And, it could be something that's actually filled with chemicals. And, one of the new things that I am seeing in more and more, on more and more labels, is natural flavor, which is actually artificial, but somehow the FDA has allowed this to slip through the cracks because it starts as something natural, but then they take it into a lab and start manipulating it, and they can add things to it. So really it is artificial. Artificial things our bodies don't know how to break down. This creates inflammation. Inflammation is the foundation of every disease. So sometimes when we're like, why are our cancer rates going up? Why are people's, weight going up? Because their bodies can't break down some of this stuff. So, food, that's like one huge thing. The next thing is stress. People, some of them recognize stress, but stress comes in all different forms. It can be physical stress. So if your body is unhealthy inside, that's adding stress to your body. There is mental stress, right? Like we're stressed at work, whatever, home life, whatever. And then there's emotional stress. Even just being around like negativity, things like that, toxic emotions can cause stress. And sometimes we don't even recognize it. We need to start to recognize stress and how that affects our entire system. I mean, if you're stressed, this drives up your cortisol or those stress hormones. And this actually drives down the other hormones in your body. So kind of like going back to your point of perimenopause. If you're stressed out all the time, your cortisol is robbing your body of the testosterone and estrogen that you need. And that's going to drive you into menopause even faster. Boo. That's going to be like accelerated aging. So being aware of stress.
Nicole, you're like talking to me right now. I know
so
it.
Great.
Like, I feel it. I'm like, as I was just saying the other day, like I'm always so stressed. But
Erin, before you go to the next question, I want to stop and go back for one thing. Well, 2 things. If you're listening to us and not watching us on YouTube, Dr. Nikki is stunningly beautiful and the picture of good health. And
agreed.
Which makes me listen to you even more. I mean, people could have all the accreditations and, you could have it all. And if you don't look like the picture of perfect health, to me, it's hard to listen and learn from that person. And so I really admire you for so many different reasons. But
walking the walk.
Yes. Leading from the front. So thank you for that. One more quick question here in this category, if you don't mind. You started with foods and weight loss and things like that. What do you feel about this new weight loss whole session we have here in life with the shots and this becoming, like I have my own theories on it. I want to hear yours.
Sure. So that's so awesome because I literally just did a podcast on that. Because it's like the new wonder drug, Ozempic, Wegovy, Semaglutide, Tirzepatide. These are a drug class called GLP-1s that help us to, use insulin better within our bodies and slow gastric emptying so that we stay fuller longer. Now, basically what I say to people, because I've had a lot of people that are like, oh my God, I want this. Every scenario is different. I think there are some cases where it is warranted and some cases where it's unnecessary. This is a new medication. This is the thing that people are not aware of. When you have a new medication, it takes years to see the bad effects of it. So remember Fen-Phen? It took 7 years before they realized and pulled it from the market how dangerous that drug was. That drug killed people. It, gave them pulmonary hypertension, where literally it's like you can't breathe. That's one of the worst diseases you could ever get. So it takes time, and people want these quick fixes. I had a patient recently that asked me she said, I can't get rid of the baby weight. I'm eating right. I'm doing this, doing that. I just can't get rid of it. Can I go on one of those injections? And really, she wanted to lose 10 pounds. And I was like, why don't we try doing the 21-day ultra healthy detox first? Let's see if we can make some changes by getting rid of inflammation and toxins in your body. Mm-hmm. So we went through and she did her 21 days and she came back in and she was like, oh my God, Nicole, thank you so much. Not only did this teach me some self-discipline, because I had to stay committed to this for 21 days. I lost 7 pounds and I'm feeling great. And now I have new eating habits. I didn't just turn to that quick fix. And then I actually went back and looked at the statistics of the average weight loss in 30 days versus I compared it to hers. Hold on. Now I have to tell you this.
I love it.
So she lost 7 pounds. I told you I just did this podcast. 7 pounds in 21 days. The average for semaglutide in 30 days is 4.4 pounds or 2% of body weight. This patient lost 7.25% of her body weight. So this was actually more effective. It was like empowering for her and now sustainable. So, and then now let me give the opposite of that. I had an obese patient. She did the detox too. She lost like 18 pounds and then she was maintaining, we kind of did a maintenance phase after that. And she slowly, still lost like another 5 pounds over the next month. And she's like, is there anything else we can do? Because I don't want to lose this motivation. I'm obviously going in the right direction, but it's just so slow now. I feel like I'm plateauing. This was an example of, I looked at risk versus benefit. She was close to pre-diabetes. She was still obese. When you look at those risks, that can be detrimental for your health. And so the next important thing is safety with this stuff. So I gave her semaglutide because I can get it compounded. So I can really adjust the dosing. When you do the pre-filled, the Ozempic, Wegovy, those are already starting you off at a high dose. And I'm seeing patients come to me, they've been getting it wherever and they're already maxed out on it. So with the semaglutide, you can start on I call it like a microdose because I want to get them the best results, but at the lowest dose possible. So we start out super low and we barely get it to they're like, okay, I can actually feel a difference now. My appetite is suppressed. Okay, so we got to keep them on the lowest dose. Then we need to have an exit strategy. I tell them this is not like your magic wand and you're just going to stay at it forever and we're just going to keep increasing the dose. We're going to get close to your goal weight, as long as it's realistic. And then during this, you are going to learn the new lifestyle habits. You are not going to go out and, pig out because this is going to help balance out your insulin levels. You're going to work on an eating plan, get exercising so that when you do get there, your body's not going to be in shock when you go back off of it. The last thing is monitoring. This works differently. I talked about fen-phen. This works differently than fen-phen. So it, most likely is not going to have the same type of long-term side effects, but we could see other ones develop. This works a lot through your pancreas and influencing different hormones. What we've seen, we're starting to already see it in the hospital, when patients are overdosing or whatever they're doing on it, we're seeing elevated pancreatic enzymes and different issues. So monitoring, we're on like a routine every 6 weeks or 2 months. We're going to look at your pancreatic enzymes and see, are we making your pancreas angry? So those are kind of my main points on that. So always look at risk versus benefit. I know as women, like we don't have it as easy as men when it comes to weight loss. And sometimes you just want to turn to that quick fix, but also, is it actually weight you need to lose? Or is it like inflammation that maybe like with doing like a really good structured detox, can we get rid of that weight as we get rid of the toxins and the inflammation?
Mm-hmm. And we'll have the link to your to how they can get a hold of you in our show notes for sure. And if they want to order from you the 21-day detox, they can order that from you, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I love, even when, even for people that don't become my patient, they can still go through this detox process. And I think it's wonderful because it gives them an opportunity to take their health into their own hands and really feel the benefits of going through this process. I mean, it helps people to lose weight, feel more energy, have less brain fog, can improve like their skin, less joint pain. It's really amazing. Everybody comes back and gives me feedback after. I love this. I think this is why I get so motivated to do all of that.
Yeah.
Because they see results, but they come back and tell me it's like they've benefited in at least one way by going through this process. And the way I like to think of it is, again, people don't realize how, what's going on inside. And I like to give the analogy of your car. You both go get the oil change in your car, right? You can get away with not changing the oil in your car for a while, but eventually your car is going to lose performance and then it's going to break down. This is like, we are constantly exposed to toxins, and these toxins are building up in our organs and making our body toxic. We need to have these intervals of resets when we can, just like the oil filter, clean it out and reset.
It's so true. And I feel like that is, one of many things that we could and should be doing to go in the right direction, because we talked about some of the things that we're doing just as humans, that are taking us down that path. But like from your expertise, like the 21-day, what are a couple other things? And then I have a really fun question for you that we talked about, but what are some like obvious ones that are maybe not so obvious of the things that we should be doing daily? Like you said, the diet and everything, but there's other things too. I mean, I love reading about meditation from you. We talked about stress, everything like that. So like, what would be, besides diet, what are maybe like 3 or 4 things that you say are must that somebody listening to this could do like right now, like start, that we want them to order the 21-day detox. But if they're listening to this now, like what can I do tonight and tomorrow to help me get on that right pathway?
So you touched on a huge one with the meditation. I always say there's no negative side effects from doing meditation.
So
and
true,
there's
right?
so many studies how it can influence all the systems in your body. I actually did my doctorate thesis on it and did a whole study of how you can actually, lower stress levels and get into a meditative state faster by using these certain interventions that we implemented. And if you don't have time, I know it's really hard for people to meditate, right? Sitting still, being with yourself. And so I tell people, just start slow, do 5 minutes a day. Just try to, focus on your breath, clear your mind, and just 5 minutes a day. And the goal, long-term, the goal with meditation is that you'll start responding in more of a meditative state throughout the day. instead of just like, some people are like, well, I do the meditation, I feel great, but then I go on to my day. Well, if you can work up to doing it consistently, that's another thing that research has shown, being consistent with it. Don't wait until you're stressed and sit down and meditate for an hour. You're more effective doing less time, but doing it every single day. And as you'll start to see over time, you will be in more of that meditative state when that stress hits you. And if you're absolutely against meditation, just breathe. Take several times a day. We don't breathe. Yeah, it can just, I've done talks before where I have, a big audience there, and I literally am like, we're all going to stop right now.
Yeah.
60 seconds and just breathe. And it's like, you literally feel the energy in the audience change. And it can do a lot for you.
That's so true. I mean, even when you said that, I think we naturally just like, it's the little things. I want to know, because again, Lisa mentioned, for those of you who cannot see you right now, you're gorgeous, you're walking the walk, you're telling us all of these things. What does a morning routine look like from Dr. Nicole? Like, I want to know, when you wake up, Nicole, I want to do what you're doing. Tell me what like your morning routine looks like that you can share with us.
Sure. So when I wake up in the morning, I actually got married this year, and I'm so blessed that the first thing he tells me every single morning is, "You're so beautiful. I'm so lucky to have you." Oh my God, how can I not start my day out good? But you know what? If your husband's boyfriends aren't saying that to you, turn to them and say something sweet, because it'll make you feel good too. But in the morning, I have gratitude, and I do my meditation. I have my morning cup of coffee. Everybody always asks me, is coffee healthy or not? Don't add junk to it. Have your black coffee, or if you are going to add something, we should have a whole nother talk on the clean coffee.
Let's do.
We will.
And I spend a little bit of time with my puppy. I can hear him snoring here. I wish I would show you him, because he's my love. But I kind of keep bringing up all these details because, having those moments to be present and, allowing love in your life, giving love, these are the things that, at the end of the day are so impactful. So sorry, I'm dwelling on, I'm still at my morning.
I love this. Like, this is what people need to hear too. Yeah. Like, I love hearing the reset and the this and the medical, but I also love knowing, like, what, waking up in the morning and your husband telling you you're beautiful. I mean, that's medicine to our hearts and to our souls. So, I mean, we love that extra list. So no, you're telling us all the stuff we want to hear.
So, and then, I love spin class or dance jam. I told you I was a dancer when I was younger. I'm grateful that I've transitioned. I used to do like ballet, and now I've transitioned into, I do some competitive ballroom. But it's like one of those things, finding that passion, something that speaks to your heart. I don't do ballroom in the morning. I do dance jam, which is like a variation of my exercise and dancing, or spin class. And then I go to work for the day. And then in the evening, wait, did you just ask me about my whole day or my morning?
That's okay. Whatever you want. You're showing people that, like, life is life, and like you're doing all of these amazing things, and we still need to like enjoy life and have the puppies and have the husbands and, do something for ourselves and do dance. Like, I need to start doing some ballroom dancing. But no, I love that. That's what, that's what makes you who you are too. Like, we're reading all these, amazing accolades, and people need to hear, like, who are you behind the scenes? We all want to know.
And make time for it, So I just like everybody, I run into that where I'm like, oh, like, I don't have time for this, or like whatever. And you just got to kind of take a step back and think, and like, you'll. Yeah.
Well, like you said, consistency. I mean, that's habits, are what help us in the end, which is, like Lisa is so great about her hot yoga. Like, it's a habit. It's on the schedule. It's what she does. It's not changing. I mean, those are the habits and the consistency that help us over time with, we always joke that, like, I eat the same thing almost every morning, every day. It's the consistency and the habits that like brought me to that health thing. So I love that too, that I think it's the behind the scenes too that count.
Yes, definitely.
Speaking of behind the scenes, We want to hear about something fun that I know you offer sometimes, about a retreat that Lisa
a very
offers.
exclusive retreat. And this may or may not be for everybody that's listening, but they offer this gorgeous retreat called the Ultimate Wellness Retreat. So maybe for a few minutes, tell us about that and who that would be for, and and if it's not for everybody, don't forget she can be reached through telemed. So if you can't get there and it's not in your budget to do something like this, but I'm looking at the itinerary, Nicole, and it is something else.
Yeah. So our wellness retreats are anywhere from, they're average of like 5 days, but anywhere from 3 to, I actually have had one patient that wanted to stay for 21 days so that they could go through the entire 21-day detox. And it was awesome, but very transformative for him. But average is about 5 days. But we go and we work from mind, body, and do all different modalities to help you improve whatever your goals are, but balancing. I get a lot of like entrepreneurs that we just need to take them out of like their usual routine and help to reset, restructure, rebalance them. And these retreats are typically for one person or a couple at a time, so that everything is revolving around them. And we're doing everything from meditation, yoga. I'm doing the medical side of things with them. We teach them how to breathe. There's of course the fun stuff, massages, aesthetics, acupuncture. We do energy testing. We have a chef making all kinds of healthy meals, and just 24-hour care and pampering, so that you get to relax, but you're also learning and your body is benefiting from it. And then what we've also rolled out this year, that's sometimes more feasible for people, is a day retreat versus like the overnight, where we actually have a group of people, or like I'll have like several people that know each other will come to us and say, we want to have a day retreat just for, this group of 5 people.
Erin, you and me, let's go.
Like, can we be a couple? Can we come together? Like,
yeah. And so that's really awesome and kind of gets people on the right path. It's a good reset. It's, it's healthier than some of the other, activities that sometimes people do in groups. Instead of like a bachelorette party, right? We could have like the wellness bachelorette party.
Now we're talking.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Is it in Arizona?
Yes, in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Okay. I've never been there. It's good for your skin, right? Because everyone talks about like the humidity, or is it hot heat, or what is it in here?
No, we have dry heat.
Dry
heat.
Okay.
You actually need to, your hair always looks good. We don't get like frizzy hair.
But it's hard on your skin.
It's hard on your skin. Okay.
Yeah. And so hydration here and moisturizing like crazy, but Arizona is beautiful. Where do you both live?
Well, that's what I was thinking. I'm in Houston, so I'm kind of the opposite. Like we have like the good skin because it's humid, but we have the terrible hair because it's always humid and frizzy and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm in Missouri, but I just spent the week out in the mountains in Northern California, and I had the same experience as Scottsdale. I could feel how a complete change in my skin while I was there, because it felt so dry. And but you just have to add more moisturizer and take your collagen, do all the things that you do, maybe a little extra when you're in those dry climates. But my hair looked good the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we also know, and we want to congratulate you that you have a new podcast coming out, because we want to hear more. We want our listeners to hear more about you, which is Ultra Healthy Now. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're going to just be talking about some of the latest research out there. Just giving people health information, educating them. There's a lot of like patient stories, so people can really relate to some of the things I share and health tips. And I feel very fortunate. It's going to be part of the Rich Dad Podcast Network. Robert Kiyosaki has been one of my transformed patients. I'm so proud of him, because if you know him, he's sometimes a little difficult, but he had there's no HIPAA violation here. He's allowed me to talk about this. He's been my patient for, gosh, I don't know, maybe 6 years now. And when he first came to me, he was totally non-compliant, and it was very difficult to make progress with him. And then that's when COVID hit, and down the road there, and he was right at the beginning of COVID. He got sick, and he said to me, he called me and he was like, I'm not going to the hospital. So either you save me or I'll die. And I was like, oh my God, like way to put the pressure on.
Yeah, no pressure.
This was right at the beginning, before there were really like any recommendations. It was like the Wild West, like doctors, do what you want. And so I had my practice during the day, and then, because we didn't really know how easily it could spread. So I would go to his home every day after I closed the practice, put on my little hazmat suit and everything. And we did both Eastern and Western modalities. We do like really high dose vitamin C and some of those types of things. And then, he actually got secondary pneumonia and all that. So that's when we did use Western medicine, and he was on antibiotics and, had to do some steroids and all this. Luckily, he made it through. What came of this is an example of him realizing how unhealthy he actually was, the fact that he got so sick. And from that moment on, he was like, I think I'm going to listen. And he started changing his ways. He lost, I think he's lost like 30 pounds. We reversed his diabetes. We've taken him off of his blood pressure meds. I mean, it's been amazing. And he's an ultra healthy human. Wow. Anyways, another long story, but because of that, he's like, my audience is all these entrepreneurs that are stressed and working so hard and drive, and they aren't addressing their health. And so, together we decided, like, without health, you have no wealth. So he invited me to be part of my podcast, will be also part of that Rich Dad Podcast Network.
That is incredible. We know him very well. With us being in the network marketing industry, I've been in for 28 years full time. And Erin, for how many years have you been?
Gosh, 10 plus now.
And so we've all read the book. We've seen him speak. He's a very famous person in our world. And so that is so neat what you did, and what an incredible accomplishment, and how lucky for him that you were there to help him. And I just think that's incredible. Well, listen, we have so enjoyed this time with you. I can't tell you, I just think you are the bomb, and I want to be your friend and your patient because I love everything.
Thank you.
I love everything that you talk about. I think you are a brilliant woman, and to me, you are 1000% going in the direction that I feel the world needs. And so I just want to thank you for your time and your expertise today, and sharing with us so openly on what you're doing. And our listeners can find you in the notes and on all the platforms. On your Instagram platform, is it the Ultra Healing Human?
Ultra healthy human.
Ultra healthy human. Okay, so go find her, follow her on Instagram. You can see all the things. You even see a picture of her doing her dancing on her Instagram. I was looking at that earlier. So many good things to find and to reach out to her. And if you want the 21-day detox, we'll make sure we get that link also maybe from you to put in our show notes if somebody wants to place an order for that. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. And you both are so beautiful. And thank you for what you're doing for the community.
Oh, thank you. Dr. Nicole Srednicki, you are amazing. We loved having you on the I Decide Darlings podcast. Make sure that you share this out. This was a wealth of information and then some. And I love what she said, and I hope I don't mess it up. Without health, we don't have wealth. Right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Amen. I love that. So thank you again, Dr. Srednicki. Thank you for listening to the I Decide Darlings podcast, and we will see you soon.
You've been listening to the I Decide Darlings podcast. If this podcast touched your heart, please share it with your friends and family right after you subscribe yourself. Don't forget to head over to iDecideBook.com and grab a copy of our favorite book and daily journal. As always, thank you for being here, and we can't wait for you to hear our next episode.